Step into a world of magic and limitless possibilities with me, your host, Katie Soul. I'm not just your average podcaster. I'm a former Fortune 100 exec who dared to escape the rat race and embark on my own mystical journey. Together, we'll discover that a mystical life is not something you stumble upon. It's a life you consciously create. Join me as we explore inspiring stories of extraordinary souls who fearlessly pursued their dreams and unlocked their inner radiance. Welcome to my world, where magic awaits and your light shines bright. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited and delighted to have John Burgos here with us today. John is an extraordinary entrepreneur, a spiritual activist, and just an amazing, beautiful human being. And I'm excited to have you here, John. John, give us a little bit more of an in-depth bio on who are you really?
Oh my God. It's still trying to figure that one out. All
Who
of us,
are
I
you
think.
Today?
I'm widely known as a host of a telesummit called Beyond the Ordinary Show. So for 10 years, I've gone in and I've invited really esoteric spiritual teachers to share with us and to co-create with us different ways that we can access higher levels of consciousness to open up beyond our perceived beliefs and to expand to something that exists beyond us that no one's shown us the doorway to yet. And that takes place with psychic channels, with people who communicate with other realms in ways that don't seem ordinary. So again, the show is called Beyond the Ordinary Show. And I've been thriving and vibing with that show for over 10 years. And then that I lead people on retreats to sacred sites. I work individually, coach people, entrepreneurs, and again, those that are looking for that next level of what they have access to, connecting to their own intuitive guidance system that everybody has access to, but somehow we tend to deny on a continuous basis. So I'm here to tell you that it's true, that you can trust it and that you can live your life from it.
So beautiful. And I'm really excited that you are going to help us take that elevator ride down from the mind and into the heart. I always like to say the mind is where that human self resides, and the fears and the worries and the to-do lists and the things of life. And sometimes our audience finds themselves, and we, entering into this space have been starting our day or ending our day in different ways. And it's just a beautiful practice to drop into the heart center where that divine self resides. I like to see that as where I can access my intuition, my inner knowing, and really form that deeper trust that this is where my truth is coming from. So we'll spend a few minutes and I'm going to let you take it away.
Oh, thank you. And I love, again, that intimate connection within ourselves where the mind, the body, heart, and our etheric energy, our soul, can all merge as once. And again, having the truth guide us from there. It's so beautiful. So I so appreciate that you're asking for this. Thank you. So everyone in the call, just get into a normal pace of your breath. Just notice your breath and get into a natural rhythm just by being present with it. And as you relax into becoming aware or even tense up, it's like, oh, am I really breathing? Was I breathing too shallow, too deeply? Just becoming aware of what's flowing. And then if you're available to, maybe close your eyes and get into that natural rhythm of your breathing. There's no right or wrong. It's just what's there for you. And being gratitude for each breath that you're able to take that maybe somebody else can't. Acknowledge the life force that's running through you in gratitude. And thank you for this moment right here, right now. And if you have your eyes closed, or even if you have your eyes open, if you can imagine a candle in front of you, or even better yet, burning incense, and just be with the meditative qualities that that candle or that incense brings into you, slows you down, brings you into presence, brings you into yourself. And as you're seeing the smoke lifting, imagine putting your hand over the smoke and bringing it first towards your eyes and letting it cleanse over your eyes. And think to yourself, I ask that I can see clearly now. And feel that going into you, just having the visceral experience of that guidance, of that grace landing in you. And as you take your next breath, reach out again and bring the smoke towards you and bring it towards your throat. And I ask that I may speak clearly now. And feel that landing in your throat and in your body as it opens and relaxes into the truth that you are. And with the final outreach into the smoke, gather it and bring it to your heart. And may my heart be open to receive the truth of who I am. And take a deep breath and exhale. Receive yourself. Receive your grace. Receive your elegance. Receive the beauty of your intention. Take another inhale and exhale in receptivity and in gratitude for the divine guidance that surrounds you, for the innate intelligence that you carry in relationship with that divine guidance, knowing that all is well right here, right now. And you're ready to open your eyes in gratitude, open heart, open throat, open mind, and welcome to the call.
Woohoo! Oh, John, that was so beautiful. And it's such a gift to me too, to experience another way of dropping in. And I'm going to borrow that in the future, just in my own drop-ins. It's really beautiful. I really loved that feeling I got from the incense too, and just really was able to tap into a deeper state. Sometimes when we can turn in on those multi-sensory experiences, it feels so very real and can shift our entire day from that point forward. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love working with an altar, so I will light a candle and light the incense and be with it. And we don't speak, especially from the masculine perspective, we don't speak of altars that often, but it's really a place of worship within ourselves and our connection. And the more that we practice that and tune in and again, develop an intimacy and gratitude and awe and wonder for how we receive, it opens up the space for expanded awareness. So it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I'm working with a kitchen altar right now that my kids and I co-created together.
Oh, nice.
And I was just thinking this morning, it's time for a transition. You know, as the weather really changed today in New England for the first time, it shifted into this crisper fall morning, and I was just getting that hit. So you're nudging me on that it's time for us to clean that altar and create a new space. And it's really beautiful to be able to co-create an altar space with another too.
Oh, yeah.
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 It's amazing.
It's also wonderful to have your own personal altar as well. Yes. It's like, it's not selfish. I think it's necessary, but you can have more than one in the house or in your workspace or in other places. So yeah, yes. I love that you're doing it with your kids.
Totally. We have one in the kitchen, and then I have a personal one in my space, and I work with it all the time. And I just love, especially right before bed. I know a lot of people really love to get up in the morning and work with their altar space. And in my life, that's not really feasible in this moment. And so the evenings are really when after the kids are in bed, that I have that opportunity to get quiet and tap into my heart. And I love working with the altar at that time too, because then you're going into the dream time so quickly thereafter. And so you can really use that horizontal time when you're laying down to really expand with your intentions or manifestations. And I would love to hear a little bit about how you work with your altar space.
Oh, in lots of different ways. It's For me lately, it's been a place where I can go in and I'm dropping in a lot to guidance that I'm receiving that seems to come from a new place that I didn't access before. It's like some channel is opened up. If you think of like the Panama Canal and the channels opening and new layers of how to get through that canal, it feels like that channel is expanded. And I'll say I have a new team. Well, not so new now. Well, yeah, they're new because they're fairly over the last few months. It's like something else is becoming more accessible to me that is collaborating with my creations, that is helping me to see where my thoughts are aligning with my actions and guiding my intentionality into new ways of creating. So it's really demonstrating to me on how I'm staying on the path that's authentically mine to walk on, just because I get to receive it. Not because I need to be of service to the world or my audience or my community, but just because the integrity starts inside of me. And from there, it emanates out. And so as that channel has been opening, I've been getting so many synchronistic visions that are later confirmed in my outward reality. Either physically walking into a place that I saw coming into vision, someone repeating the exact same words that I was receiving during my altar time, even nervous system adjustments where a place of that would cause a little anxiousness or maybe a lot comes in, or there's stimulus from the outside world, how it's allowing me to focus again on the integrity that runs through here rather than the manipulation of my ego, thinking
Yeah.
that something has to happen in order for me to be safe. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's allowing me to navigate more, and again, landing in the center of what's true to inform rather than just to stimulate. In other words, by
Mm-hmm.
stimulation, you have got to be anxious and you got to be afraid and you got to be hypervigilant. So it's like, no, I'm informed now. And I may have felt fear. I may have felt a little anxiety, but that fear and anxiety is informing me. I've received it.
Mm-hmm.
I can let go of the way that I've carried that fear or anxiety in the past, because in my integrity, I'm aware that I'm capable to adjust however I need to be aligned with that integrity that's calling me forward. And the integrity isn't a moralistic thing. It's just an internal compass that you know what's yours and you follow that guidance.
Totally. I recently heard about this group that measured, and we can put it in the show notes, the highest frequency that a human can vibrate at. And we often think that that's the frequency of love. But what they found in this study, it's actually the frequency of integrity, authenticity, and truth,
Mm.
which is so interesting because it makes complete sense. Because when we're walking in our truth, we're whole, we're complete. And I just love that so much. So we'll add that to the show notes for anyone who
Yeah,
wants to
please do. I want to see it.
explore. I'll send it to you after too. You might even be familiar with the organization too. And for a moment, though, let's rewind, because you and I both have a similar lived experience in which we came from really corporate backgrounds. And I would love for you to share with us and for everyone listening to who might be in one of those more traditional corporate jobs, what happened exactly to bring you to this integrated human being that you are today. And to also know that, light workers are needed in these corporate settings too. And just because you and I took paths out, it doesn't mean that you have to leave a corporate setting in order to find your truth and wholeness too.
Yeah, because there is so much separation. I can't work corporate or big corporate. It's like, no, hold on a second. Just slow down. Whenever we're in a place of judgment or separation, we know that we've left ourselves for the opinion of something else or for comfort's sake.
Mm.
And so if we can get back, it's like, oh, where can I get back to truth rather than just seeking comfort, rather than seeking confirmation that validates a limiting belief that I have? Because I believe all corporate work is bad. That's a limiting belief. There's amazing organizations doing amazing things. So I just want to bring it there first. And how do we bring our light into that? Even in these positions that you and I are, we're entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or have small teams that are working for us, not on a large scale as some of the big companies that we worked with. But the truth is that it's not about our organization. Again, it starts with us.
Yeah.
And so again, I speak of that integrity, that alignment that happens within us. And whatever we're bringing from the inside out, we carry that everywhere. You carry your essence, Katie, not just when you show up for your retreats or where you're doing these shows or where you're showing up for corporate clients or through the clothing line. It's just the essence of you goes with you to the grocery store, goes with you to parent-teacher meetings, is interacting with your kids. And so the impact of you goes beyond this identification. Well, I'm an entrepreneur on a spiritual path, or I'm working corporate and I'm kind of locked into the identification that corporate wants me to have.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be further from the truth. And the currency that's emerging in the new reality that's being created as you and I are walking and breathing right now, this currency of that integrity, knowing the currency of who you are and how you expend that, that's going to be way more valuable than the bottom line, because the bottom line is going to be impacted directly by the currency that you bring in, by the integrity, by the alignment that you are gifting to these co-creative ventures that you're in. And don't forget, they are co-creative ventures. Now, what happens in corporate, it's like when it's not in alignment, when we're emanating the values of another for the sake of having an exchange for safety's sake, or because it's satisfying these other needs, we just have to be aware of our whys. What is the exchange that we're outputting? And now, am I okay with that agreement?
Right.
And if you're okay with that agreement, go for it. It's wonderful. But if you're not okay with that agreement, or you're rubbing up against something that feels like it's diluting life force from you, then it's time to step back and not blame it. What's the corporations? All this is like, wait, where am I denying an aspect of myself that wants to be expressed? Where am I resolving something maybe in this denial that could be ancestral, that could be family lineage patterns that I'm bringing up? Where am I impacting others through the manipulation of what I'm hoping to get out of this, and in turn being manipulated by it? Because it's always the give and take in the relationship. And so becoming aware of our why and just coming into truth of it. It's like, okay, I'm not crazy about my job, but it's paying me really well and supporting this other lifestyle. My kids are doing great, and I'm willing to have that exchange for a while. And I'm willing to reap the rewards of what does feel good. And I'm willing to tolerate those things that don't sometimes. That's a strong place to be in. But also those things that are in alignment, if everything's a mirror, what are they showing to you? They're gifting you something as well.
Totally.
And we can have a relationship with those things that are in alignment instead of thinking that we have to push them away or make them wrong. And ask, how's this showing up for me? Not why is this showing up to me? Why is this happening to me? Then we get to use every relational dynamic, whether it's personal or a work relationship, for our growth, for our expansion, and for our awareness of how we get to walk in the integrity that feels in alignment with us.
Mm. Whew. Beautiful.
Mm.
Take us back to when you were making that shift in your life. What was going on, and how did you come into deeper and deeper comfort with trusting your inner truth?
Mm. That was a long lifetime journey of trusting that inner truth. From a very young age, I was always very psychically aware
Mm.
and very empathic. And my empathic muscles really garnered strength because of the situations that I grew up in. And I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate to those circumstances. But what happened later in corporate is I just got bored. It's like, there's got to be something else. I was reaching that second half of life. And there's a
Mm.
Jungian psychologist, James Hollis. Amazing book. I'd recommend it to everybody.
Okay.
Finding meaning in the second half of life.
Ooh.
And
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes too.
oh, it's amazing. That book literally shifted a huge perspective of my life that I believe changed the course or how I opened into that new course that was evolving for me.
Mm.
But I was in that place in my life, and James describes it so beautifully. So I did all the right things in my early years. I
Mm.
went to school, I went to college, I got married, I had kids, I worked a corporate career, and it was satisfying as we strove forward. And then I got to a certain place in my life. It's like, okay, the kids are older, they're fine. We have the suburban lifestyle, the car, they're going to the good schools. I have a wife that I love, and we're just, we're doing our thing, but it felt like I was lacking purpose or something else. And I had this calling, there's got to be something else. It's got to be something else. So I left corporate and started my own business. Actually, I was gifted a business, gifted $300,000 baseline business, and said, here you go, build it from here. And it's all yours. It's like, awesome. Thank you. And I ran with that. And again, I was already bored in corporate. I was always trying to do side gigs, start my own thing. And they worked to a certain extent, but I never really devoted all my attention and time to it because I was in that. I had to do the corporate thing. I had to sustain, I had to provide for my family. And that I have to, it felt good for me to do it.
Yeah.
As a man, it's like, I'm supposed to provide. Well, that was the belief. I'm supposed to provide safety and shelter and monetary means so that other people in my life can feel safe and fulfilled in some way. Again, very masculine belief. Whether it's true or not for y'all, it just depends where you are, right? But something was evolving from that. And as I started my business, it was going great for a while, and I got bored really quickly again. It's like, there's got to be something else. And I thought I'd expand that brand into a national brand. And I hired a branding executive coach to lead me into what I didn't know. It's like, I need someone to guide me because I'm pretty good at, pulling up from the bootstraps and figuring things out. But it's like, it's time I get a mentor. And that mentorship went from business development into spiritual development very quickly.
Amazing.
And within a few weeks of working together, I began seeing auras around animals and trees and peoples. I started having prophetic dreams. I started having guides coming to me, teaching me in liminal states. It was unmistakable that something that I allowed myself permission, and I'd overcome enough of limiting beliefs in a short period of time to break the dam open of something that I've always had access to, but I didn't know how to work with it. We didn't grow up speaking energy, learning energy, talking to spirit guides, maybe praying, maybe worshiping at an altar, but co-creating with guides and opening to what's possible. It was a brand new world. As far as the permission that I had to really dive in and to own these very sensitive gifts, again, these very empathic gifts that were welling up and forming me. So from there, it's just, I had to sell my business. I started working with the person who was coaching me. She had said that in 25 years of working with high level executives and so many clients, that nobody had caught on to that work so quickly. So she's like, join me, let's build this together. So
Beautiful.
I sold my business very quickly and we started working together, and I dove into this expansion. So I was opening up to what's next. Again, I'd done the job, the career, the family, what's possible now. And what was possible was exploring something outside of the physical world, but something that's very real. And so that connection to guides and how we can, with focus, not just through connection with our guidance, yes, and our higher self, which there's an intelligence that we know. We can call it the back of our mind. We can call it our gut feelings. We can call that nudge that comes in last minute and tells us to turn right instead of turn left and just saves us, in the nick of time. But it's higher self guidance. And so I learned to tap into that, rewire limiting beliefs using very grounded, practical applications. And it changed the neurocircuitry of how I perceived different situations and possible outcomes. And that just elevated my life in all new ways. And it was so effective. I was coaching other people. We were building a platform. It's just, I need to share this with as many people as I know.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't something that we're talking about in my community, in the suburbs or in the city. This needs to get out to the world. It's just, how do I do that? How do I do that in a big scale? And so I decided to collaborate with others who are doing something similar, but bring in their version of it and their expertise. And that's how the show got born. I wanted to make this work accessible to as many people around the world as possible. And it's from that intention that this whole new trajectory was born for me.
So amazing. And your community that you've built is so strong and has now access to decades of content from all these amazing spiritual teachers, shamans, people who are working with other dimensions, and just bringing that access in a way that's very understandable. When I listen to your show, I feel so grounded in hearing about a really esoteric topic that I may or may not be familiar with, but it feels grounded in this reality. And so often when we're talking about things that are beyond the ordinary, it can feel a little disconnected at times from our current reality. And I think you do a beautiful job of just weaving it back in to the present, to our life today, to this now moment. And that's not easy to do. So I really commend you for that, John.
Thank you. And I also want to give credit for those who keep the vernacular at that higher level, inviting others, not talking down. Not that we talk down to anybody, but there's something about acclimating to the vibration of what's being shared and keeping it at its purity, because it's powerful. And we will adjust, but we have to go through the periods of maybe feeling uncomfortable or being so new in it. But again, that's our nervous system overcoming, well, I can't be that. I don't know what that is. But if it feels right, and trusting something beyond that comfort level, where it's right for you. There's something here that I'm ready to receive. I don't quite understand what it is, but let me stay with it just a little bit, because something gets illuminated as that stream that's flowing through you has the opportunity to really expand into the oceanic consciousness that's awaiting you.
Completely. And it's interesting because a few weeks ago, we launched an episode with Sandra Walter. And so much of the feedback was exactly what you described. I loved this episode. I didn't totally understand it. I didn't really get exactly what she was saying. And it also made sense to me in this deeper place. And I want more of that. And so this episode is really connected in many ways as well, because Sandra is the one that connected John and I. I didn't actually, for studying esoteric wisdom for many decades myself, I just hadn't come into the awareness of you and all the beauty that you create until Sandra connected us. And we both had the opportunity to meet at the crystalline convergence that Sandra put on and co-create it with John. And it was absolutely exceptional experience. And I would love to just really come back in for the people who weren't present at the event, but listened to Sandra's episode and heard the before. And now that we've been through this experience together, I would love to share your insights on the after and what was co-created there, and how has that changed and shifted things for you since in these past few weeks?
Oh, that's such a great question. Well, first of all, being in the energy of the vortex of Sedona, the energy that's amplified there, just being there by itself, first of all, that's an activation within itself. And it had been a few years since I had been there, so I felt even more sensitive to the energies when I was there. But in a co-creative way, not like I was like being taken somewhere and I was a victim of the energies.
Yeah.
But really it's like, oh wait, something's flowing through, and there's this relational dynamic that happens with the land. Potent energy. And then getting in the group dynamics, like seeing other people that were with us at the conference, there was a resonance. There's a harmonic tone that I think was guided by the intention of what we were showing up. And the intention was about the collective consciousness, a unification,
unity,
right? That we're in. And there was an undercurrent of that intention that was running through, even though we're excited about what was to come, or we're like landing in the vortex of Sedona, or if I was preparing about what I was going to say and do with Sandra, it's the undercurrent, the foundation of why we showed up. I think it's something that a lot of us that were there were sitting in our own altar being with as we prepared for this event. So that's why I love ceremony, because in ceremony, we do prepare and set foundations for what our heart, mind, and bodies and etheric bodies intent truly is. And we get to amplify that. So to show up at the convergence in that energy and to feel so many people in our harmonic gathering. And then the space that Sandra holds is very crystal clear. Her intention.
It is. It's a very coherent field.
Is very coherent. And again, when I saw her the first time, we've known each other for years. But it had been about 4 or 5 years since I'd seen her. I welled up and just in the breathing in, just the soul that I feel so connected to and expanded to with simultaneously. You know, when you're in the presence of some people, it's like your field just opens up and you relax in it. And from there, what's possible to create becomes a matter of choice rather than an if. You just create in the field. So it's wonderful. So what I brought back from the conference, again, these beautiful connections, I opened up to receive even more deeply reflections of the impact that the show has and I have had with the intention of the show. As so many people that were there reflecting to me how it helped them so much on their own spiritual awakening, or feeling safe, or finding other teachers that helped them to expand beyond the place where they felt stuck or didn't know where to go, what direction to go in, and that we provided perhaps a map or a guidance system for them to follow their next yes. So that was wonderful to receive, and just deep presence and even more peace. Again, really aligning with that unity. And again, knowing that the unity starts with me. I'm the only one that can create separation. And understanding that and feeling others who are in the authenticity of holding a similar awareness in their own versions. It brought in a lot of confidence, a lot of, it's beyond hope, it's confidence for what we're creating as a
So
collective, and what's possible for the world beyond other collectives who may be reflecting on circumstances that they would prefer not to be in. But I know that there is a very potent, integrated divine field that we have the opportunity to hold and create that reality from, as we becoming walking examples of what's possible by holding that.
It's so interesting that you bring up hope, because when I came back to share with my community and was asked about the experience, I said, what I learned there in the most simplistic way was about letting go of the word hope and stepping into a knowing, because they do carry really different frequencies when we're hoping, wanting, desiring something versus when we know it to be true. And that was the best way I could summarize succinctly a really profound and powerful and otherworldly experience. I would love for you to share a little bit too. You did a session with Sandra on water, and we talked about the stars, and there was a unity beyond the individuals that were present at the convergence. And I would love to just tap into that co-creation as well.
Oh, I love this. Well, we're creating a field.
Yeah.
We just are. We're creating a field that anyone and everyone can step into. And again, we're anchoring that field in, and it's a tone of unity consciousness. It's like, we may be healing through our things, and it's wonderful, but this world isn't going to be finished healing until everybody's healed. And so to carry the awareness of this evolution that we're going through during this very special time, and then what are we creating in that evolution, in this revolution, as we are letting go of cultural imprints that don't serve the awakening of consciousness. So we can use the tools of the past. We can use the awarenesses of what we've learned from the past, but to keep repeating the same thing over and over again and to hope that it's going to get better, that's not the formula for success.
No. Hope
just
is not a strategy.
Hope is not now, hope is part of alchemy. To be in a place of where we're numb, to have hope is tremendous.
This is true.
To bring that hope into trust.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level. To bring that trust into knowing through embodied experiences. Now you're really cooking with something. Now you're becoming the teacher, because as you embody and you experience, you become an example of what's possible through that. And then what's beyond that knowing is faith. And that is that's a deep conversation of faith, because now we're creating in ways that we become more aware with other energies that are beyond what we can see and feel in different ways, or we're starting to feel and see them in ways that we haven't before. And that's when we're open to love and we love another, that's an act of faith.
Yeah.
It's not an act of knowing.
Mm.
When we see a trajectory of what's possible for our children or school systems or in corporate atmospheres, we bring our knowing and we have faith that the vibrational space that we hold, the intention of unity consciousness, will be met and gather others in their evolved consciousness as well. And then we're going to create something new. There's that space beyond knowing. That's the sweet stuff. That's where we can get into awe and wonder and magic. And that's like, it amplifies this vitality for living. And it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary.
Thank you. Thank you for expanding me in this now moment too, just to see beyond the knowing as well, and to experience that faith. And we're just in this really interesting moment in these times where we are being presented with some worldly challenges and some opportunities to do it a different way. And for anyone who's really feeling the weightiness of what's happening externally, what would you advise them in this moment to find that unity and love within versus seeking that external validation from the world around?
There's a couple of things I strongly recommend. First, as you're feeling that intense energy, if you're feeling the pull by a collective that's, you're aware that they're suffering or neglect, or again, a lot of information and energy that is pulling us back into safety and distortion and to wanting to fight an injustice. And I think being aware of those things is really important. So if you're feeling that and you have an awareness of it, just thank you for bringing consciousness to it. Say, don't go there and don't feel it and you need to be here instead of there. It's like, no, discernment and awareness is beautiful. As you become aware and you become aware of what's running through your emotional body, as you're experiencing those things that you'd rather not experience, as you're feeling into it, drop in real quick and just a minute, even a few seconds of really amplifying your energy and sending compassion and love to that circumstance. Not just to those that you think are suffering the injustice, but those that you may be judging or causing the injustice.
Yeah.
Send it to both.
For sure.
Send it to both. We've been doing a good job half glassing it. In different places, and become aware of where we want to send love to everybody. The full circumstance, even the most horrific being that you may think may be the initial perpetrator of this, who needs to see the light more than those who are so far from it? And so dropping into that and sending your life force out in compassion, empathy, and in your authority. So you're not deleting or depleting yourself hoping to save something else, but really from this place of your organic capacity to do so. Compassion, compassion, compassion. And so first do that. And then as you have time to reflect, be curious about what that circumstance, how that might be mirrored back to you in your life. What circumstances are happening in your life where there's a war going on with your spouse or with the PTA? Where's someone in your life starving for attention? Where's someone in your life confused about their sexuality and sensuality, but you keep seeing these places where it's being mirrored back to you in such a horrific way. These are timeline points that are allowing us to reflect of what's happening on the exterior and see them as a mirror on how we can come back into integrity in our lives and show up and be a catalyst for those things that we can be effective for. And as we change those things in our perimeter, as we become a catalyst of those things of our perimeter, our capacity to have that perimeter expand becomes even greater. But we have to begin from within. So again, if there's a war going on somewhere else and you're really heated up about that, where am I still in a war with my parents and blaming them for things in my life? Where am I still in a war with my ex because we didn't agree on something? And how can I bring resolution, peace, diplomacy, and compassion to that circumstance and still keep my sovereignty and have them keep theirs? So reflecting upon that is huge.
And I love the visual that you presented to us too, is that glass. And so often we do just fill the glass halfway. And by filling the glass the whole way, it's just this exponential experience of deepening into our own integrity, truth, and love. And I'm going to really stick with that visual for myself personally. It's really feels really clear.
Well, it's clear, and it's also exposing the truth of the potency of your heart and your intentions. So what happens if you're full of that vitality? What can you do with that? What happens when you function with half of it or a quarter of it or 3/4 of it? What happens when you use all of it? When you can actually tune into it and use it as a force of creation? We for too long have been creating half full or less. When we've created with fuller cups, we've gleaned moments of success and ecstasy and excitement. And it's just time that we become aware of the rocket fuel that we have inside of ourselves to create with others and to use it as a force of expansion of consciousness and unity.
John, I could ask you questions for 24 more hours or longer. And I am aware of the time. And I would love to end with one final question around what is the most profound insight that's entered your consciousness recently that you feel ready to share?
Oh my goodness. The most profound. There's been so many.
So many.
There's so many that are coming through, and
you can share more than one.
Well, really the awareness of we're going from a period where we've been witnessing others, and so many in the spiritual community and the personal transformation community, we're really good at witnessing others and, oh my God, you're amazing. You're overcoming this. And let me hold space for you here. Or let me show you how you can expand your business into this way. You expand more into your gifts. And so there's a lot of witnessing that we've been through, and there's been a beautiful evolution of that and so necessary. But we're stepping into a time of mirroring each other, or really taking what we've learned, seeing what that sacred mirror on the other side is sharing with us, in both the beautiful reflection of how we are seen, but in the most lit up place of our potential, but also in our limitations. We're really going to a place of our spiritual maturity, which affects every aspect of our life, where we get to take stock and look at those places where we're being in relationships with others and with other things and in creations, and what's being reflected back to us, not make it about the other person doing something to us, but again, making it about the soul that's on the other side of me, reflecting back to me that I'm ready to receive now, so that I can expand and grow and become even more into alignment with the truth of my divinity. It's not that you've been ignoring it. It's just that we haven't had the opportunity and the awareness. We've been ignorant a little bit to the power that we carry within ourselves. And
Yeah.
so there's been a lot of reaching out for space holding, for coaching in that way.
Mm.
And I really feel that there's a call for new type of leadership that is willing to be a mirror rather than a witness, that is willing to, you talk to me, and just by my presence, you're going to be reflected back to you, and you'll align back into yourself. It's not about me helping you to align.
Yeah.
It's like you becoming aware of what's within you. You've got all the tools. You've got all the resources. There's encyclopedias, Googles of information on how to be with almost anything right now.
Yeah. I got to experience you doing this for me when we had dinner on Saturday night of the Crystalline Convergence. I was sharing with you, and really in conversation was able to get a deeper level of clarity for myself. And you were the mirror for me, which was so beautiful. You weren't trying to coach me or give me advice or say, do this or that. You were just incredibly present. And it was really beautiful to see this new archetype and to experience this new archetype of leadership. And it feels really grounded for me having had that experience with you. And you are definitely a way shower for this new path forward. And I'm so excited for all that it's going to bring too.
I'm excited about what it's going to reveal as its next iteration. Who knows? But
who knows?
Who knows? But I get to show for the awe and the wonder of it, definitely. And open to the new creations. And just when I think I've got it right, there's going to be another iteration that's going to call me forward. And that's what we get to do now. But again, there's a vitality and such beautiful spice to live with in those different explorations. So thank you for receiving me in that mirror and for such a beautiful compliment.
Well, John, what are all the ways that the audience can find and get in touch and deepen with your beautiful mirroring?
Everything, what I do, how to connect on social, the show, it can all be found at one-on-one sessions, immersions in Hawaii. It can all be found on johnburgos.co. Simple site, just go there. And if you're definitely sign up for the show. The show's amazing. The speakers are fantastic.
So amazing.
And if you want to work deeper with me, there's ways that we can explore. So I invite you to reach out and look forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It was a true gift to have this conversation with you today and experience your presence as well.
Thank you, Katie.
So much. I'm beaming you lots of love.
Same, sister. Thank you.
I'm grateful for your presence on this remarkable and captivating journey today. Together, we've delved into the realms of limitless possibilities and unlocked the secrets of our true selves. A mystical life is not a mere coincidence. It's a thrilling adventure that you actively shape with intention and passion. Remember, when you follow your light, you not only illuminate your own path, but you also radiate light to the world around you. The world eagerly awaits the magic you have to offer. Follow your light and let it guide you to incredible heights.